there, this is Amber Parrott with Morgan James Publishing, and today I have the privilege of connecting with author Paul Linzey, the author of The Safest Place in Iraq. Paul, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks. So I want to dive in and ask you some questions about your book. What is it like to be a chaplain during war?
There's two parts to that answer. First, it's just like anyone else, because when there is a dangerous circumstance, you're just as human as everyone else. On the other side, we have a unique opportunity to minister in the name of Jesus Christ in some unique ways when people are vulnerable, when people are facing life at its best or life at its worst. So it's a very interesting challenge.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, as a Christian chaplain, can you truly minister, serve, and be openly evangelical in the military?
Yes, there's a lot of press, there's a lot of commentary in the media saying that we cannot, but that's usually not true. We have to be smart about it, we have to use wisdom, but we have wide open doors of ministry and service. There is no limitation to being a Christian in the military in the United States. And I think that's part of the message we need to get out. We can be who we are, just like anybody can be who they are.
Yeah, I think that's so true. The media will, twist and spin what is actually happening. So it's great to hear from somebody who's lived it, the reality of the situation.
Unfortunately, some people abuse the privileges that we have, and that's what causes the problems.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if we're smart, we're following the guidelines, we can be openly as Christian, as blatantly evangelical as we want.
Right. And it's sad whenever those who ruin it for everybody else become the representatives, but it's great to hear
True.
that those representatives don't actually reflect the wide truth. So thank you
Right.
for that. So tell me about the book. What are some of the themes you discuss that are relevant for everyone, not just those in the military?
But that's part of what makes the book so relevant for a small group discussion in a local church or even in a classroom setting. Everyone faces obstacles, whether you're a business person, a school teacher, a bus driver, or a soldier or a Marine. And what I talk about is the principles for overcoming challenges, temptations, fears, or loneliness, or sexual temptations. There's a lot that we have in common. And so I give a personal look at not only how I handled my own issues, but the people that I served and what God was doing in their lives.
Yeah.
That's what makes it uniquely relevant to a whole lot of people, not just people in uniform.
Yeah, that's so true. It sounds like anybody who's under any kind of pressure, whether it's from a job in the military or other life circumstances, can glean something from this book.
Yes, we all wonder what's the best way to live our life? How do we respond when the going gets tough? And it
Right.
does get tough for every single person.
Right.
So I think it becomes relevant in that way.
That's excellent. Well, before we wrap up today, Paul, I wanted to ask, where can the viewers at home connect with you?
In several ways, on my website is the easiest perhaps, which is paullinzey.com, or even on Facebook, same name. I live a wide open life. I don't keep secrets. If you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to email or text or call and share life with what's going on in us.
I love it. And we so appreciate that openness, because if you weren't willing to share your story, then we wouldn't be able to learn from that. So thank you so much for that.
What I really enjoyed writing was to observe what God was doing in people's lives, because in some senses it's a memoir. This is what I experienced, but much more than that, it's a story about what God was doing in people's lives.
Yeah.
Whether it's an officer in the Ukrainian army that I interacted with, or an Iraqi gentleman who came to me and said, "Tell me about Jesus,"
Wow.
or someone who was healed or had an encounter with God. In essence, it's not just my story, but it's God's story and what he was doing in a lot of people's lives. When I came back, I was part of a Bible study in Atlanta, and the people who had prayed for me while I was over there said, "Tell us some of your stories." And it's those stories that became the book, because they wanted to ask questions, and it was that interaction process that really made it come to life.
That's amazing. I love that you had the eyes to see that too, because it can be so easy, even when you're in a position of ministry, to miss on what God is doing. So that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining me today. And thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in. Be sure to check out The Safest Place in Iraq wherever books are sold. And Paul, congratulations on the release of your book.
Thank you, Amber. Nice to get acquainted with you and spend this time with you.
Thank you for being here.